From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. From the no duh file. Do the kids still say that? That's what we said when we were kids. No duh. Rich people don't pay taxes. No kidding. Yeah, I guess we've kind of always known this, right? commondreams.org. The first of its kind analysis of newly disclosed Internal Revenue Service data shows that the richest 25 billionaires in the United States paid a true federal tax rate of just 3.4% between 2014 and 2018, even as they added a staggering $401 billion to their collective wealth. And that's well before the pandemic boom they had. 3.4% federal tax rate. I'll bet that's higher than yours. I'm guessing it probably is. Published yesterday by the investigative nonprofit ProPublica, which obtained a sprawling cache of IRS data on thousands of the nation's wealthiest people dating back 15 years. The analysis takes aim at the cornerstone myth of the American tax system, that everyone pays their fair share and the richest Americans pay the most. And that's an average, mind you, of 3.4%. Some people are paying a hell of a lot less than that. We know of cases, we see the headlines all the time, 0 taxes paid, because they find, they can find all the loopholes, et cetera, et cetera. We know about that. And of course, the other thing that should be obvious to everyone, but it needs pointing out, these big guys, Bezos and Gates and others, they'll give themselves a salary of like $1. They'll even brag about it like it's some big charitable thing they're doing. No. They give themselves $1 annual income because taxes on wages, on earned income, is much, much higher. The rate is much, much higher than the rates for capital gains and dividends and et cetera, et cetera. All those other ways of making money within a corporation. You and I have talked many times about that term, unearned income. The greatest oxymoron of all time and the biggest scam of all time, the fact that there should be such thing as unearned income. Wealth is created by only one thing, and you and I, let's say it together, labor. Labor creates wealth. Everything else is theft. Everything else is theft. Workers create wealth. Owners skim off the top, give you just enough to keep you there, just enough to keep you alive and kicking. Can have enough strength to do your job. Give you a bottle to pee in. They take the rest. And then all the wealth that flows from the labor of the workers gets manipulated and traded and sold, and millions upon billions of dollars, dare I say trillions of dollars, find their way into the pockets of that very rare club. And now we see a little confirmation of what we've all known all along. We can't even get a little bit out of the tax system from these guys. Our analysis of tax data for the 25 richest Americans quantifies just how unfair the system has become. By the end of 2018, the 25 were worth $1.1 trillion, ProPublica notes. For comparison, it would take 14.3 million ordinary American wage earners put together to equal that same amount of wealth. The personal federal tax bill for the top 25 in 2018, $1.9 billion. The bill for the wage earners, $143 billion. Many Americans live paycheck to paycheck, amassing little wealth and paying the federal government a percentage of their income that rises if they earn more. In recent years, the median American household earned about $70,000 annually and paid 14% in federal taxes. 14% compared to 3.4% for the billionaires. So, there is a tiny bit of controversy about revealing this data. It's private information. But ProPublica just thought, what the hell? And I agree. Yeah, they got a little handy-dandy chart here. Warren Buffett, over that period, paid, 0.1%. His true tax rate, 0.1%. Jeff Bezos, 0.98%. Michael Bloomberg, 1.3%. And Elon Musk, the big contributor, 3.27% true tax rate. Lord mercy. We're doing everything wrong, you guys. We're doing everything wrong. We got to storm the Bastille. We got to fix this one way or another. We got to eat the rich. We got to tax them out of existence. Nobody in this world should have more money than they can spend. Nobody in this world should have more money than anybody else. I am an egalitarian through and through. This is all just inexcusable to me. Ay. And again, we knew this. Here, I'm looking at ProPublica now. I should have gone right to the original site. Anything else I can tell you about this? Just that the rates have been going down steadily the last 3 years of this report. 2016, 17, and 18. I'd love to see 2019 and 2020, especially in light of, again, the pandemic profiteering that went on. And then we talked recently about Musk and Gates. No, I'm sorry, Musk and Bezos. They're the two who are wrangling for huge government contracts regarding their space programs. So let the billions and billions flow some more. Typical worker, as they crunch the numbers here, paid $10,700 in taxes, taken as a percentage of the worker's full compensation, including a typical health plan that comes out to a rate of 19%. And yes, to be clear, that is a hell of a lot higher than the richest 25 Americans. And this, take note here, this is a very specific finding. They're talking about the 25 wealthiest Americans. Now, expand this to the top 1%. I don't know the number of that. That's got to be thousands of billionaires, right? And I don't know how many there are. But the top 1%, the top 10%. We've all seen the charts. So the story gets even sadder. But this extreme wealth income, when we're talking about just those top 25 individuals, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. All right, so I don't want you to get angry. Well, I do want you to get angry, but I guess what I mean is I don't want you to feel bad or depressed about any of this. If it's righteous anger that you can sort of get behind, then go for it. Anger's okay. If it's a motivator, if it doesn't hurt you too much, anger can be a pretty debilitating emotion. So I'm not wishing that. But a little righteous anger, a little self-righteous anger, that's okay, if it motivates you to do something. And what can we do? I don't know, man. You got to turn your back on the corporate culture. You got to stop giving them your money. You got to find alternative lifestyles for yourself, for your neighbors. You got to find new ways to live. You got to basically boycott everybody. You got to turn your back on the corporations and everything they're trying to sell you. I know sometimes it's hard. I need a 9-volt battery for my guitar so I can plug it into my amp and so you can hear me when I play. I'm not going to buy a 9-volt battery from my neighbor who makes them in his back porch. I know there's some things are tough to boycott. So I'm going to continue to buy my 9-volt batteries and try not to feel too guilty about it. But wherever I can, wherever I have a choice, wherever I have an option, I'm going to keep trying. And I encourage everyone, stop giving them your money. Just stop it. It's one of the reasons I don't stream television. I find it to be one of the worst ways to contribute to their cause. But that's just one of many, many things you can boycott. I pretty much boycott the entire corporate world whenever I can. So do that and continue to vote left. We just got to pull this nation to the left until we have some justice, some economic justice. We just got to do it. The fascists aren't going to do it. The Republican fascists aren't going to do it. The mainstream centrist Democrats aren't going to do it. You got to go left and then go left again and left some more. All right. Well, speaking of the fascists and all of that, we spent quite a lot of time the last couple of days. So I don't want to get buried in this today, but just a couple of quick mentions. A bipartisan probe led by 2 Senate committees, reading now from NPR.org, has found that U.S. Capitol Police and other authorities were in possession of more alarming intelligence clues ahead of the January 6 attack on the complex than previously documented. So there wasn't a whole lot of new information in these reports. What the news folks are reporting as of yesterday when this thing was released, issued by the Senate Rules Committee and the Homeland Security Committee, it's even worse than we were generally aware. Huge failures of intelligence, security preparations, and emergency response before and during the insurrection. Again, things we knew, but this joint report here, it tells us, yeah, you thought it was bad. It was even worse than that. Among new public details, the panels say Capitol Police had seen information from a pro-Trump website that included comments about the Capitol's tunnel system and that encouraged demonstrators to bring weapons to subdue members of Congress and police and reverse the presidential election's result. This is do or die. Bring your guns, one comment read in part, the report said. The website also had comments that demonstrators should surround every building with a tunnel entrance or exit, be prepared to drag down police, and that they could, quote, enter the Capitol as the Third Continental Congress and certify the Trump electors, end quote, referring to an alliance of militia groups. So, bottom line of this report, yes, it was bad, even worse than you thought. Here are a couple of new details. But even with this report, one of the bottom line findings is there's still much to learn. As Esquire.com puts it, in the Capitol Police report, bipartisanship was once again the enemy of the whole truth. Writer Charles Pierce details how there had to be this deal-making within these committees between the Republicans and the Democrats on what would be allowed and what would not be allowed. And as is becoming way too familiar in negotiations between Republicans and Democrats, you know who's having whose lunch here. Because the Republicans insisted there was no mention of insurrection. You couldn't use the word. You couldn't even suggest it. I guess it did pop up a few times in quotes from witnesses, but other than that, in the body of the text, nope, you can't use that word. Also, they limited their investigations pretty severely. There was no serious effort, well, no effort at all, to dig any deeper into the root causes, the planning, the history. Yeah, we've got some websites, we've got some emails, but anything that might hint at the responsibility of the Orange Menace and members of Congress themselves, some of them in the very committees doing the investigation. No chance that the parameters of these investigations would allow a deep enough dive to find origins, to find culpability among that crowd. So far, I mean, this is it. This is the entirety of investigations regarding January 6th, one of the most momentous events in American history. And we are still living it. It's still happening. Salon had a great article. Their headline, guess what? The Trump coup against American democracy never stopped. If you think the coup attempt is over or that January 6th was a defeat for fascism, you're not paying attention. Yeah, the fact that this is all we have, 2 Senate committees, and that's it. In a very cursory report, investigators were hamstrung from the beginning by the rules agreed to by the Democrats, forced on them by the Republicans. So this pathetic little report, damning as it is just a fraction of what's required. And as Salon.com points out, let's see, Chauncey DeVega is the writer of this article. Donald Trump and the Republican Party's coup attempt was not defeated on January 6. The war against American democracy continues and is gaining momentum. All one has to do is take off one's blinders to see it. Unfortunately, too many Americans, including the Democratic Party's leadership, the professional smart people, and other members of the country's mainstream media and chattering class, have waited for months to acknowledge what has been happening in plain sight. Republicans have rejected any independent investigation into the events of January 6. Why? Because they feel implicated, explicitly or otherwise, in supporting and collaborating with Trump's coup attempt and the assault on the U.S. Capitol. And then this article, it goes on to talk about what we've been talking about the last couple days, especially the voting restriction laws, the hundreds, literally hundreds of laws in just about every state of the union, all but a couple, the state of the Republican Party, their allegiance and alliance to the Orange Menace, all of them pretty much denying, if not the facts of January 6th, the importance of January 6th. We're still getting headlines every day about the likes of Flynn and Giuliani. They just continue their shenanigans for the Orange Menace. Nothing has changed. QAnon conspiracy theories still fly freely and find lots of places to land, including in the halls of Congress. So this was not, by any stretch, a one-day event. It's a continuing crisis. And the perpetrators of the crime are either conducting this vapid little investigation or, more importantly, able to vote down a commission, an investigation, a real one. By the way, the whole reason for Homeland Security after 9/11, if you don't recall, or if you're a kid, you don't know, there was a lot of complaining about the intelligence prior to the 9/11 attack. Of course, that was 2001, September 11th of 2001. And in the aftermath of that, everybody, right, left, and center, was critical of the lack of communication and coordination between the many various intelligence agencies. There's a total of about, 17 different agencies. There's the CIA, there's the FBI, there's military intelligence, there's Senate intelligence committees. So the complaint was, prior to 9/11, there was all of this information, but it came a drip here and a drip there, and nobody was coordinated, and nobody was coalescing this information. So Homeland Security, by its very design, was supposed to bring everybody under the same umbrella, bring everybody together. Well, here now, in what we've been able to find out about January 6th, same trouble. Different agencies responsible for security not communicating before or during the event. So why did we have to institute this brand new agency, Homeland Security, if they weren't going to meet that responsibility? Making sure that some intelligence over here that was gathered by the Capitol Police was also shared with the FBI, was also shared with the military, with the White House. That's the whole point of Homeland Security. So I don't know what they're doing over there. I don't know. That's over my pay grade. All I really know for sure, and I do know this, we absolutely have to have a 9/11 style commission, the one the Republicans just voted down. We got to find a way to make that happen. Big, authoritative, reliable, independent. I can't think of anything that warrants such an investigation more than this. Not only the events of January 6th itself, but the lead up, the failures of security, of intelligence, and, most importantly, the culture, the criminals who plotted, planned, encouraged. But of course the Republicans are scared shitless because they know damn well that a good number of their members were vocal supporters. There were guided tours of the Capitol just the days prior to the invasion. Members of Congress were taking around insurrectionists and saying, well, here's where this is, here's where that is, here's where you get in and out. I mean, they gave them goddamn guided tours. You know full well, you know that there's going to be damning evidence that shows without question their participation in this event. There's going to be emails and texts, and you know it. You know it. The preliminary evidence is already there. An actual investigation would certainly uncover it. And the Republicans don't want that. Gee, I wonder why. We have insurrectionists wearing congressional pins, you guys. I've been calling them, for a long time, and especially the last couple of days, the fascist party. You know, I don't use that word lightly. I don't toss that around. These guys are quite literally fascists. The way they're trying to take control of elections, their use of lying and propaganda at levels this country has never seen. And we've seen it. Believe me, we've seen lies. We've seen propaganda. But they've taken it to a whole new level. The press is the enemy of the people. They've picked up on that. They've taken that baton from the Orange Menace, and they're running with that. Their cruel, severe laws about women's reproductive rights, their cruel, severe stand on immigration, on LGBTQ bigotry. Yeah, I don't use the term fascist lightly. It's exactly what they are, right down the line. Speaking of Salon, they had another good article this week. Let's see, who gets credit for this one? Matthew Rosa. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and the Weimar Republic. History's dark lessons. America in the 2020s is disturbingly reminiscent of Germany 100 years ago. Spoiler, that didn't end well. Yeah, if you agree with me that the modern Republican Party is as dangerous as I do, if you agree with me, and Matthew Rosa of Salon does, then he continues the analogy with the Joe Biden administration as the modern-day Weimar Republic. And of course, that was the brief period before Hitler took over and the Nazis gained complete power of Germany, which at the time was a global leader, a major country. There was nothing small or weak about Germany. Nobody thought it could happen there. Everybody laughed off, or many people laughed off Hitler as a buffoon. You know this whole story. You know the comparison. Hitler's reliance on his big lies, and now we have modern-day versions of that. I won't go through the whole article. I'll share it with you on the Facebook page, salon.com. You've probably heard this whole comparison before, and you may have laughed it off. You may have dismissed it. Oh, extremists. If you're still in that camp, if you're still laughing this off and thinking it can't happen here, and thinking that I'm being an alarmist, and this Salon article is alarmist and over the top, if you still think that, I don't know, just tune in. I'll try to convince you otherwise every day. But no, I do not use the word fascism lightly. That is exactly what they are. It's exactly what they're doing. And if somehow, some way, we can finagle a legitimate, reliable, trustworthy, respected, powerful, independent commission to take a deep dive into everything that led up to January 6th, we got to find a way to do that. I said earlier, I think if any event deserves this more, I couldn't name it, but maybe I can. Off the top of my head, actually, let me expand this. We need 3 commissions. I don't know, how is there no talk about a commission for COVID? Why isn't there a high-powered 9/11 style independent commission looking at everything surrounding COVID? 600,000 Americans dead. In fact, I saw the other day the deaths over average number I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, but it was much higher than that. Much, much higher than the official or unofficial deaths from COVID. That number over average is very simple. They just take the average number of deaths that you would expect at this time in any year, and then you look at what we have, and then the difference is that margin. So you're going to expect that it's going to be at least about 600,000 because that's how many have died of COVID, but it's much, much more by another 100 or 200,000. Again, I'm sorry I don't have that right in front of me. And that might be COVID deaths that were missed, that were not counted. It might be people who avoided medical care for fear of the virus, for whatever reason. My point being, it's the greatest American death toll in history. We are approaching, if we haven't already passed, deaths from the Civil War. I mean, how does this not get a commission to look into every detail about how this happened and make serious recommendations on how to avoid this in the future? How is there not a commission on this? The most catastrophic event in American history. And again, getting back to the fascists, they want to forget it. They want to deny it. They want to lie about it. Or they just come right out and say, we don't care if 600,000 people die. That's just the price of doing business. And then the other commission we need of the three, how is there not a commission regarding last summer's protests over the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, Black Lives Matter in general, police brutality in general, policing in general? I believe that has certainly, without question, reached the level of attention that absolutely demands a 9/11 style commission. Listen, we can do it. We got the money to do it. We got all the money in the world. Scarcity of money, scarcity of resources is the biggest lie of all. You and I know that. So that's not an excuse. We got plenty of talented people. We have talented, smart people. I say that day after day on this program. We have good, smart, intelligent people by the hundreds, by the thousands, by the millions. As much as I complain about this damn country, I never said it's not filled with great, good people. It is. I say it on a daily basis. This country is filled with good, moral, intelligent, competent, capable people. Get a couple hundred of them and put them on these three commissions and find a way to create these commissions. January 6th, COVID, and Black Lives Matter. These three issues require commissions. There ain't no reason in the world we couldn't do it. Ain't no damn reason. All right. Okay. Well, here comes the clock, tick, tick, ticking away. It's going to tell me to stop talking to you, which I will do right now. I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm Charles Purcell.